Hello, everybody. Today we are going to be reviewing The Office, the British version, however, starring Ricky Gervais and a couple other actors who you might know of, or you might not, depending on what your fandom is of movies, past and present, I guess. We've got Martin Freeman, Mackenzie Crook, and Lucy Davis, and I believe Lucy Davis has been in the Wonder Woman movies. Yes, she has, because the trailer just pops up right away when you click on her page. And funny thing is, Gareth, who is played by Mackenzie Crook, I realized after doing a little bit of research that he was actually in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie series. He played one of the. I can't remember what was it that he played in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie series. Raggedy? Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movie series myself. I might have to do that in the near future here because I believe another one might be coming now. I think I seen that announced recently. Oh, okay. Anyhow, right, and obviously Martin Freeman was the one in. He was in Fargo too, I believe, the TV series. Let me just double check that to be sure. Oh, come on. I swear to God he was. Yes, he was. He was in the first season of the Fargo TV series, which might do next because that was such a good TV series, and each season is different, so it's easy to keep track of doing that season by season. And obviously, Ricky Gervais has been in quite a few movies over the years, and I've seen a couple of his films. He's probably one of my favorite stand-up comedians as far as that goes because he does great stand-up bits. This show definitely was funny. I highly recommend going to see it. Unfortunately, or watching it on. I'm not sure whether another platform is going to pick this up because unfortunately, the last day that you can watch it on Netflix is tomorrow, March 30th, and I'm not sure when this video will actually be up to view because I've got so many other videos that I want to get out of the way first. So me even saying this, who knows when this video will be up. And I want to start maybe with this video as being the one for my new intro. So I can just go on my Patreon and set that all up again properly to get just the intro parts exclusive to you guys like a month in advance sort of thing for people who are going to subscribe to my Patreon. Because now I can kind of start to slowly focus on that because a friend of mine sent me a bunch of free editing software programs for to do this. So I'm going to test a few of them out to see which ones I kind of like best and go from there. So we have obviously this show basically, if you've ever watched the American version, it is very similar to that, the way it starts out, except in this version, the Netflix really annoys me sometimes. Anyhow, so where oh my god, come on, where is the name of the, just give me a second here. Okay, because that's mildly annoying that Netflix does that. Anyway, so as you know from the American version, the paper company was called Dunder Mifflin. Obviously, they couldn't take the same name for the British version. That wouldn't make any sense. So in this, in the British version, so the original, the OG show, I guess you could call it, which actually started 2 years before, or ended 2 years before the American version started. And I will say, Ricky Gervais delivers his comedy well, but I almost think maybe he didn't quite fit into this role as well as Steve Carell did. I think Steve Carell just delivered it a lot smoother, and he just fit the character maybe a little bit better. Now I am going to maybe do the Office series, the American version, season by season, because I do have it on DVD, so I can do it that way. But I think I'm going to get the Big Bang Theory out of the way next, just because I know I've been kind of promising a lot of things, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it because I've kind of been going on and off of my list type thing. So yes, Dunder Mifflin was the name of the one in the American version, and in this one, it's Wernham Hogg is the paper company. So I did notice some similarities because obviously I do remember kind of how the American version started out, and it was very similar to that. So I can kind of see how they've taken stuff from the show and input it into the American version of the show quite clearly. So I guess they were kind of trying to keep the nostalgia in there a little bit from the British version, which is nice because a lot of shows would have just taken a totally different approach. Unfortunately, this show kind of ended, I would say the British version kind of ended a little bit too soon. And I think that might have been maybe because when they brought in newer characters, they tried to take more of a serious approach to the show as opposed to funny. And I think that kind of ruined the show in a way. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still has all of its funny moments, obviously. And some of them were obviously maybe a little too far. And maybe that's another reason why the show just ended up getting canceled, because the comedy just was on a... maybe the rating of the show was supposed to be lower than what it was. I guess says mature audience for this on Netflix anyway. So yeah, I guess you don't want to be... this isn't a show for the faint of heart, I guess you could say. If you're offended easily, I would say definitely don't watch this. Hopefully another platform does pick it up, or another streaming service does pick it up, so that it is available to watch somewhere at least. And if not, I'm sure you can find a stream of it somewhere online. Because that's, yeah, a thing these days. Or, who knows, download it somewhere or buy it on DVD if it's available where you are. Now, this might be still available in Netflix UK. I'm not sure. I live in Canada, so it's not available here anyway. I'm not sure about anywhere else, but it's definitely not going to be on Netflix Canada after tomorrow. So if you are able to view it, do go watch it. But yes, back to my point. I think they kind of... Whoops, what did I hit there? Sorry. I think they kind of did try to take more of a serious approach with the show, which might have ruined it a little bit, as opposed to the comedic approach they seem to be taking more of in the first season. So obviously, I know Pam was the receptionist. I believe that was her name in the American version, and in this version, her name is Dawn. And obviously, Dawn and Tim have a love. There is a definite love interest there. Clearly, you can tell that from the very first episode. Just the way they are with each other, and the fact that they're always finding ways to pick on Gareth together and stuff like that. And it seems that Dawn is somewhat interested in Tim, and obviously Tim is interested in Dawn because later in the season he does end up asking her out, and then he tries to kind of reel that back as saying he was asking her as a friend because he knew that she was having problems with her current boyfriend Lee, who also works in the same place. And Lee and Tim do kind of get into it back and forth a little bit throughout the show. One of the more serious moments was when Lee just comes upstairs and sees Tim and Dawn dancing and just shoves Tim right out of the way into the wall. And, of course, Tim never really fights back. I guess maybe because he sees himself as a little bit weak and just doesn't really want to take a stance for himself. He kind of seems like that guy that, he's the quiet type, that's for sure, when it comes to certain situations. Anyhow, as the show progresses, Dawn eventually decides that she's going to leave. Even after Tim says that he is going to leave to go back to university, he changes his mind when he gets a promotion inside the company, thanks to David. Eventually, David is fired, or as they call it in the show, he becomes a redundancy. So they give him a redundancy package. He tries to beg for his job back. Anyway, in the end, Gareth ends up getting his job. They have one last party. And throughout the show, one of the things that all of David's friends, who is the owner of the... oh my god. The Warham Hog portion of the company. I don't know why it's trying to start again here on me. Just let me back out. Okay. The Warheim Hog portion of the company, they do end up getting people to come in from a different part of it after it gets shut down, so the tensions kind of start to rise, and then David ends up having a boss as well, and then he ends up being the one that ends up getting fired because he's not doing his job to his full potential. So then it goes to 3 years later. David is kind of, I guess, more successful because he was able to sue the company and get a bunch of money off of them. He made a single, paid for the whole thing himself. A single is a song, like a track that he made himself. And yeah, so he becomes more successful in the end than he was ever working at the Warheim Hog portion of the show. He does end up getting a girlfriend at the very end of the show. He finally meets somebody who he clicks with, which is good because the entire time his friends tease him about being gay during the entire show, even though we know he's not. I mean, he does make quite a few jokes that are offensive to all realms of people, obviously throughout the show, but that is just him. That's kind of Ricky Gervais in a nutshell. He doesn't really care what he says or who he offends as a comedian, and I guess as a comedian you kind of have to be that way, because you can't always... I know you're going to get backlash as a comedian for saying certain things, but you can't always take it to heart, because everybody is going to find something you say funny, and other people are going to take it as offense. But hey, that's the times we live in right now, I guess. Everybody seems to find offense in something. But you have to be open-minded when it comes to comedy, because, I mean, it also comes from, I guess, your walk of life, too. In a way, comedy, yes. Anyhow, I'm getting kind of off track from the show and talking about a totally different subject matter. But I guess I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. So, yes, and they were shocked, I guess. And Finch is one of David Brent's buddies. David Brent. Sorry, my bad. I'm glad I have a list here with me. So David Brent has a friend named Finch. At the end, he calls the woman that he's with a dog, and he just tells him to fuck right off. So, there you go. David finally stood up for himself in the way that he was meant to. And they do the Secret Santa thing. I guess it's supposed to be around Christmas time when the show finally does end. It seems to be like it's going to be sad because Dawn decided to move to Florida with Lee, right? And even though their relationship isn't going well, Dawn's one thing was that she wanted to continue her art career. She was hoping that would take off, but it seems that no matter what she does, in Lee's eyes, she's just not good enough. So he says that to her at the end of the show, that you have to be good at art in order to pursue it. I guess her career path is going to be the same basically as it was in the UK. But she obviously doesn't want to do that. So when they do the Secret Santa thing, Tim ends up getting her, and then he gets her this, I don't know whether it was like markers or paints or something. It must have been paints. And it says never give up, with a little drawing of him, I think, because she must have sketched him at one point in time, I'm assuming. Maybe that was actually in the show and I just missed it, but anyhow. Where was I going? Yes, so when she's going back to the airport, she obviously changes her mind about Tim finally, after Tim asking her out twice throughout the show. He doesn't say anything about it, and she opens his Secret Santa gift. She comes back and realizes that, obviously Tim is the right man who's going to support her. So she comes back into the office, she kisses him, and they leave. I thought it was going to be a much sadder ending than that, and I was like, God, this can't be the way the show ends. Please, at least with like a few minutes, have Dawn come back in and them kind of walk out of the show together. And it was kind of funny because it was almost like it felt like a genuine moment between the two of them, actually. And the look on Ricky Gervais' face, he was just like smiling, like beaming from ear to ear. So you could obviously tell there was maybe some realism in that moment. And obviously the whole team was kind of happy because they were all laughing about it and stuff. So I don't know whether they actually had some sort of relationship outside of the show. Maybe they did. I'd have to look into that a little bit more. But anyhow, I think that's all I have to say for the show. I would give it an 8 out of 10, just because the second half seemed to be taking a more serious approach, and that kind of ruined the show for me a little bit. Just enough to not give it a 10. But I would say still go watch this version, especially if you like any of those actors. And I probably will be doing Pirates of the Caribbean series now, and I will definitely do The Big Bang Theory, and The Office is the American version of The Office is on my list next now. So that's what I will do. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for this show. Comment down below if you have seen the British version before and what you thought of it, because obviously everybody's opinion is going to be different. And like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.